Just when we thought we were finally in a position to legalize marijuana nationwide after California legalized it recreationally, Attorney General Jeff Sessions has now come out with a new statement about what he feels the federal government should do in pursuing marijuana. Instead of the previous policy of lenient federal enforcement, Sessions' new stance will instead let federal prosecutors where marijuana is legal decide how aggressively to enforce long-standing federal law prohibiting it. Sessions is rescinding the policy by Barack Obama's Justice Department that has generally barred federal law enforcement officials from interfering with marijuana sales in states where the drug is legal. So I'm going to get to what might be in Jeff Sessions' mind in pushing this, but first let's get to some reactions. So there were even some Republican lawmakers that were against this, like Colorado Senator Cory Gardner, who tweeted, "This reported action directly contradicts what Attorney General Sessions told me prior to his confirmation. With no prior notice to Congress, the Justice Department has trampled on the will of the voters in Colorado and other states." And now here's a clip from Gardner on the Senate floor, where he actually seems pretty pissed about it.
Prior to his confirmation, then Senator Sessions said that he didn't have any plans told me there were no plans to reverse the Cole Memorandum. Then Senator Sessions told me that marijuana simply wasn't going to be on President Trump's agenda, that it was something that they weren't going to deal with, that's something that President Trump simply wasn't going to focus on. That was back in the spring of 2016, and up until 8:58 this morning, that was the policy. One tweet later, one policy later, a complete reversal of what many of us on the Hill were told before the confirmation, what we had continued to believe the last year, and without any notification, conversation, or dialogue with Congress. Completely reversed. I opposed the legalization of marijuana in Colorado, but this is about a decision by the state of Colorado, and we were told that states' rights would be protected, and not just by the Attorney General, then the nominee to be Attorney General. We were told that by then candidate Donald Trump. In fact, in Colorado, in July of 2016, President Trump was asked this question. When asked if President Trump, then candidate Trump, would use federal authority to shut down sales of recreational marijuana in states like Colorado, then candidate Donald Trump said, quote, "I wouldn't do that." When asked if he, then candidate Trump, thinks Colorado should be allowed to do what it's doing, then candidate Trump said, "It's up to the states, absolutely."
And there were other lawmakers that also voiced their displeasure with this, including Nevada Senator Republican Dean Heller, along with Democratic leaders in other states who are also pushing back against this. Now, let's take a look at the popularity of marijuana legalization. So, American support for legalizing marijuana continues to rise and is now at an all-time high of 64% overall saying that yes, marijuana should be legal. And now even Republican support for legal marijuana is at a majority level, at 51%, along with Democrats at 72% support and independents at 67% support. So if Jeff Sessions isn't doing this for Republican voters, then why is he doing this? Well, he once famously quipped that he admired the KKK until he found out they smoked marijuana. Now sure, you can say it's just a joke, but it is a racist joke, and there is truth behind it, because when you actually look at who the war on drugs affects, then it becomes clear why Jeff Sessions might be against marijuana. So this study from the ACLU looked at who uses marijuana by race. So when you compare percentage of white used and percentage of black used, they roughly use marijuana at the same rates. But then when you look at arrest rates for marijuana possession by race, it's clear that black people are affected much more by arrests than white people, which shows a clear and obvious disparity. And looking at this graph, you can see how many times more likely blacks are arrested than whites. So, quoting the study again, blacks are between 2 and 5 times more likely than whites to be arrested for marijuana possession in the majority of counties. And in many counties, this racial disparity is even larger. So looking at Jeff Sessions' history on race and looking at the arrest rates when comparing blacks to whites on marijuana possession, I think racism does play a part here. Now, you might find it interesting to learn that there once was a time when Jeff Sessions absolutely loved the tobacco industry. The tobacco industry helped get Jeff Sessions elected to the Senate in 1996. In fact, Sessions got a bit too much money from R.J. Reynolds, the makers of Camel cigarettes, during his 96 campaign. In October 97, his staff had to send money back to the company because they had donated more money than was legally allowed. And here's a picture of that letter where they had to send the money back. And as late as 2004, Sessions was still opposed to FDA regulation of tobacco. The tobacco industry fought regulation of its product for decades, and FDA was only granted regulatory authority over it in 2009. When the Senate passed a compromise bill on regulation of tobacco by the FDA in 2004, Sessions was disgusted. He fought against regulation of tobacco as a drug, using everything from free speech arguments to boilerplate pro-business language. So I think that all kind of speaks for itself. Now, there was a tweet in the midst of all this mess that I think is worth sharing. So Sean King tweeted out, "Today is the day where Democrats should make the full legalization of marijuana a part of the party platform. It's good for the economy. It's good for justice reform. It's good for the opioid crisis." So I think he's exactly right. Now, apart from this being the right thing to do and where society is headed anyways, as I showed you, the support for legalization continues to grow and is now even at 51% for Republicans. This would be strategically a brilliant thing for the Democratic Party to do. It would be a solid policy that they could latch onto, and they're lacking in solid policy proposals. Right now, the Democratic Party seems more concerned about battling Trump, which, good, that's important, but you also have to offer people a reason to vote for you. Give them something to be excited about. Now, I don't think they should, just run on legalization, but having it as part of a platform would be a smart idea. And if you look at the Canadian Liberal Party in 2015, they also supported legalization, and they ended up with a majority government.